owners and the general public not to be unreasonably harmed by specific land use. The recommendations made by the Planning and Zoning Commission this evening will be based on provisions of the Georgia Zoning Procedure Act, the Madison County Zoning Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan for the land use of Madison County, and the information that is presented at this public hearing. As to the order of business tonight, first I will introduce the application, and then the zoning administrator will give her comments. Then the applicant or their agent will come forward, state their name, address, and sign in. Then state the reason for their request. You may provide any other information or documentation supporting the application. Next, the planning and zoning members will have the opportunity to ask applicants questions to clarify their understanding of the issues relating to the application. Afterwards, I will open the floor for public comment in support of or in opposition to the request. We are required by law to allow at least 10 minutes on either side of the public comment. The Madison County Planning and Zoning Commission is a recommending body only, consisting of concerned citizens who are appointed to a 4-year term by county commissioners. We are a fact-finding body that visits the property under consideration, reviews the information associated with the application, and consider public comment raised during the public hearing, and within the guidelines of the comprehensive plan and other land use ordinances, making recommendations to the board regarding these applications. The final binding decision on each request will be made by the Madison County Board of Commissioners at its meeting here on Monday night. Somebody give me the date. February the 6th. The forum for appealing decisions of the Board of Commissioners is the Superior Court of Madison County. If your application has been heard, you are free to leave, but you're welcome to stay if you wish. I emphasize that every applicant or their representative is not required to be present at the second public hearing, which will be held where I will present the application to the Board of Commissioners. If after I make the presentation, the applicant feels that there are some information that I have left out or something you would like to add, please feel free to do so at that time. You do not have to be present at the second public hearing, but we recommend that you do, simply because that's where the final decision will be made, and I may not present it the way you would like for it to be presented. So again, that will be on February the 6th at 6 p.m. in this room. Before we begin, is there anybody on the board need to recuse themselves for any of the information that we will be presenting tonight? Hearing none, we will go into our public hearing. The first one is Tracy Galloway is requesting to rezone a 2-acre portion of her 19.14 acre A2 property to AR to allow for a 2-acre split for an existing home. The property is located at 1008 Highway 172, Carver, on map 007, Old Parcel 86 in District 5. Ms. Tracy, do you have any comments or anything you want to add to that?
Well, you summed it up, but currently the property has 3 homes on it. And in her zoning district, you can only have 2 homes because she is A2, and so the third one would have to be removed so she has opted to rezone that 2-acre portion to the AR to allow her to be able to keep that home on the property, but just as its own tract.
Okay. Ms. Galloway? You want to come forward? Just tell us in your words what you would like for us to do for you tonight.
I would just like to keep the home on the property to be able to let my daughter live there with her 3 kids. That's just it.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
So, okay. Does the board have any questions for Ms. Galloway at this point?
Well, I do. The drive that you go up, it's one drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I see the brick homes.
Mm-hmm.
And the other homes are behind there. Are they mobile homes?
I'm sorry, y'all. I work for the military.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Are they mobile, or are they
One of
regular
them,
built homes?
one of them is a mobile home, and then the other one is a building.
Oh, okay,
You know,
so
brick home.
everybody uses the same drive?
No, At the other home, it's a mobile home. It's already got a cut driveway.
Okay. Yeah, but the one that you want your daughter to stay in, that one's gonna be using the same drive?
No, she'll be using the other drive.
The mobile? Oh, okay.
I wanted them split apart for a reason.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't see where
Yeah,
that
it's
one.
drive.
I know you go up that drive and then it's split.
Yes.
Okay, so you still gotta use the same access from the road to the,
No.
The mobile home where the 2-acre split is,
yeah.
it has its own drive coming off of 172. If you're in her driveway looking
Yeah, I
forward,
saw that.
it's the driveway. There's some pine trees on your left,
Yeah.
and there's a drive that comes into those pine trees for a mobile home that's in there.
Oh, okay, that's probably why I didn't see it, 'cause
Where it splits, it goes around, there's some barns, and then another home in the back that's used for various things right now.
Oh, okay, okay,
So there wouldn't be a shared drive with
okay.
this. Sorry. I thought that was it. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions from any board members at this point? Is that all?
Oh, that's all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go open the public hearing. Is there anybody here that wants to speak for this particular rezone request? Is there anyone here wants to speak in favor of this rezone request? Hearing none, is there anyone here wants to speak in opposition? Anyone here wants to speak in opposition? If not, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the table, and we'll entertain a motion to approve, to disapprove, or to approve with conditions. Floor is now open for any further discussion that you may have.
Mr. Chairman, I move to
Can we have a motion by Gandy?
second.
I have a second by Bradley. Any further discussion? All right, we'll start with Mr. Gandy. The motion is to approve the application.
Yes.
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 This application has been approved. Again, the final decision will be made by the Board of Commissioners on February 6th, right here in this room. All right, we'll move to our next one. Doug, excuse me, apologize if I pronounce your name wrong. Please forgive me.
You will.
Stuchel?
Stuchel.
Stuchel. I'm sorry, I did. Is requested to rezone a 2-acre portion of his 16.38 acre property from A2 to AR to give to his son for a home site. The property is located at 1144 Shoal Creek Road in Carver on map 0059, parcel 110, District 5. And I do know, I had trouble finding this. But I did find it, so, Tracy?
That's about the gist of it. Now, we have had issues concerning the road frontage, and, we have initially presented 3 revised site plans, a total of 3 site plans. The first one was to move the 2-acre portion away from the road so that it would not directly adjoin the road. And then that, wasn't agreeable with Commissioner Chandler, and, he felt the need that we should do a flag lot instead, and that would give the 2-acre portion direct access to the road just as a private drive, not an easement. So it would be the ownership of the property. And it would just be a 30-foot wide private drive is what's proposed now.
Okay. You've heard all the back and forth. Are you good either way?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because at some point in time, I'm gonna build my daughter a house down here before you get to my house. It's in the middle of my property, and that issue might come up to where I might have to have an easement. But as far as this lot goes, it doesn't matter one way or the other. Flag lot or move it back and on this site map, this is just an estimate drawing as far as where the 2 acres is going to be. I have not got it surveyed yet, so it may not go back that far. It may go back a little further, whatever the 2 acres come up to.
All right, so anything else?
That's it.
Any questions from the board for him at this point?
I have one. With the different options that we've talked about here, with 30-foot wide driveway versus having road frontage or the private drive, which would you prefer?
I would prefer just to use my driveway as an easement. And I talked to the lady at the mortgage company that I'm going through to do all this other stuff, and she told me to suggest that it may be better that when the surveyor comes, that he surveys that driveway all the way to my house and claim it as that access egress, which will be a permanent access that stays with that land forever how long. That's what I would prefer to do, because my driveway's already paved, don't have to do anything extra. It's perfectly fine to use. His house is gonna be right to the right side of that driveway, so that would be my preference. Do not have a problem with the flag lot whatsoever.
What if the property were moved all the way to have total road frontage? Would you have a driveway directly off of the road onto the property if you had road frontage from the driveway over to the side?
You mean to
if a lot were brought all
all the way to the road?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could definitely put a driveway in. I mean, that's what we're having to do now if the flag lot is approved. So we're gonna have to put a pipe and a driveway in.
Yeah, so there's a big ditch.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a question for Mr. Pruitt. What would need to be done to do it that way, and it's the 9 feet difference? Say we, the existing parent parcel leaving 150 feet there, and then having a 9 feet short of 150 feet for this parcel, would that require
A variance under 11 point, it's 11.1.2 C, lot width variance. That's not one that the staff can do. It does need an application for variance that goes through the same process and gets voted on by the board of commissioners. needs to go simultaneously with the rezone out.
Before we get to certain, any further questions for him?
Just point of clarification, so the new drawing here, means that you will have to build a driveway out that way.
Correct.
Although right now you have access from the easement road, the road that's.
The original driveway, yes. Because the property that I will give to him is gonna come all the way up to the driveway as far back as it takes to get the two, not taking the driveway, just up to the edge of the driveway. And then as far back as it takes to get to the 2 acres. So, I mean, for me, it makes perfect sense to use that as an easement. But if we have to do a flag, or like you suggest, bring the whole lot down to the road, yeah, would be no problem to put a pipe in, following the regulations that we have to follow in Madison County to do a driveway.
Well, if it was possible to accommodate your preferences on this thing, it would be a matter of, if it came even if the lot came all the way out to the road, this is not a family situation, correct?
Absolutely.
So there would be no real requirement to build a driveway, would there? But it would, if there in the future that someone moved in there that's not family, then they would have an easy access and they could put a driveway.
That's correct, if we could bring the lot all the way down, right?
Okay.
So bringing the lot all the way down, if the easement was given, then you wouldn't have to do any kind of construction at all
As far as the driveway goes, that's correct.
You said something about your daughter?
Yes, so if you follow that driveway in, and you see where the map, how it turns right here to the left,
Right.
my line is right beside my driveway right there.
Yeah.
So right past that point on that left-hand side is where she wants her future house.
Oh,
And if we do that, then there's no way for me to cut her a separate
right,
driveway. We would have to use my driveway as an easement.
right.
Regardless of whatever side we put it on, we would have to use that as an easement because his would then take up all of that front.
Okay.
And if,
I went down there and I know it curved around before you could see the straight drive. Your driveway curves, it comes from the road and then curves a little.
well, it basically comes up and it curves and it curves back, goes uphill.
Yeah.
And up to the top of the hill is where I'm thinking the 2 acres is gonna go to. But right when you get to the top of that hill and start coming down to go to my house, that little, like a 30-foot stretch right there, that line is right up against my driveway.
Oh, because I was saying, how are you gonna bring it closer when you bring it down? Because I know that land is a big ditch,
Right,
and then the land.
right. But I mean,
But all we're concerned with now is the 2 acres that he's trying to cut off, not his future.
No, I know.
and like Tracy was saying on the original site map, I had it back because she had told me that you gotta have 150-foot road frontage. So I had the whole lot back 30 foot off of the road with intentions of using my driveway as an easement.
Right.
But I guess as Mr. Mitchell was saying, if we brought it all the way down in the future, if it was sold, even if we didn't use a new driveway, whoever bought it would have that option to be able to put a driveway in right there and not have to use my driveway as an easement.
Was that something you would?
It's something that's out of my control in the future because as of,
The 2 acres is not going to a family.
yes, it is. It's
Oh,
one of my
okay.
times. Yes.
Oh,
That's why I don't know if this means anything, but, you know, it's, me and my wife are retired and we've got everything set in order and in our will, all of this is going to my son and my daughter anyway, so they're gonna have to deal with whatever, you know, they may have to deal with in the future, but as of right now, we're just trying to get their 2 home
Well, in
sites
the
down.
future, they can come back and put the drive in.
That's correct.
So future wise, they can come back and put the drive in there if they need to.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Would it delay, if he wanted to apply for the variance to bring the whole thing to the road, the whole lot to the road, would that require another whole process?
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Okay. Open the public hearing. Is anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this rezone request? Anyone in the audience want to speak in favor of this rezone request? If not, is there anyone here who wants to speak in opposition? Anyone here wants to speak in opposition? If not, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion and a motion. Before we go into that, my thoughts or my feeling on this is that since I've been on this planning and zoning, one of the things that we tried to avoid was flag lots. That was one of the things that we tried to get away from. If we do what the last proposal we're talking about, we're creating a flag lot. Now, I do understand that we don't particularly like easements either. But in this case, it's going to be either one or the other. So when you're debating this or getting ready to make a motion on this, I think you've got to determine, which is most beneficial. And I think because of, I'm just getting my personal opinion from my standpoint, my comments is this is a family, divided with the family. And I don't see where there's a big issue of whether it's a easement or we make this gentleman spend more money or go into more to put in a driveway. So with that, that's my opinion, so I'll leave it up to the board to discuss it.
Before we move on to further, I just want to make perfectly sure I'm clear on this. I'm looking at the two proposals, the two sketch maps. And I guess the first one is an approximation of the lot comes all the way out to the end. And that was when we discussed the difference between the 9 or 8, 9 foot discrepancy. So that's essentially the one that the homeowner or the owner preferred. Correct. The one without the one that comes all the way to the road.
No, well, he wanted
Well, that would have easement.
the first one.
Yeah. That doesn't require at that point.
To bring it all the way to the front.
Well, it doesn't require a second driveway at that
Yeah.
point.
Right.
However, in the future, we could come.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he could if he wanted
I think we have to have a labor variance if we go that route, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yes, a lot with variance.
Yeah.
You have
And
two
then
lots.
essentially, that's not the request tonight.
And if I can just add, what Mr. Scott said is correct, and the way your ordinance prohibits flag lots is the minimum lot width requirement. So that means you can't have a lot that only has enough road frontage for a driveway. That's not 150 feet.
which will in that way.
Flag lots are off the table. The county banned those long ago.
That was my understanding.
Isn't this a flag lot? That's what we're going to know.
No, it won't be.
It will be a flag lot if you do it as the last proposal. If you don't do it as the last proposal, it won't be.
Because you're not having a separate.
What is the last proposal, Mr. Scott? I'm sorry. I'm on the wall.
This one, where it comes off of the road,
And it says a 30-foot wide,
30-foot drive.
30-foot drive.
Yes, that's a lot that only has 30 feet. So,
correct.
doesn't have the required 150.
So we're saying this was off the table, basically.
That's my interpretation. And just as a little added to it, the lot width is actually measured at build the setback line, which is 60 feet from the center line of this road, Shoal Creek Road. But now, it's either, it's 60 if it's anything other than an arterial, it's arterial assessment. Yeah, so it's a 60.
Any further questions or discussion on this part of it?
Yeah, but I was like, where was that?
Yeah.
And then when you get this one, you would still have to have 150 feet.
Due to the complexity of the matter, my preference would be to bring the entire lot to the road, but I wouldn't want to have to put him through the application process to have to wait until May to get that done. There's no way that could be granted with this?
No, because it hasn't been a variance application filed.
You would take it.
Well, maybe I'm misunderstanding though. We can bring it to the road, but we're not requiring a driveway to be put in from Shoal Creek. We'll have an easement off of his driveway.
The parcel comes and touches the road, but the property is on.
Yeah, no, that's what I said, why would we bring it to the road?
It doesn't matter how you enter it. Frontage requirements, I mean,
There's no frontage
it's frontage
requirement.
requirement. Well, the lot would require, I should say.
147, 144,
No,
whatever it is.
It's either a variance or you go with, this proposal that takes it back from the whereby the second lot doesn't, so, I'm sorry, say it so y'all can hear me. It's either a variance or moving the 2-acre lot far enough from the road, so that the remaining acreage retains its 150 feet lot width at its setback line. Then the new 2-acre lot will be served by a private access drive. That would, I understand, so it could take the form of an easement or a split deed or whatever, but, there would be a private access drive, it would have to meet those requirements.
And that's the one we
That
were
makes sense to me.
originally going with, that was the first proposal that
First proposal is to just go rezone with an easement.
Correct,
Okay, so
correct.
are
That
we
is
making
right.
a motion?
That's right. The forward now for motion?
Okay, I make a motion that we maintain the original rezone 2 acres with an easement.
Now, which one of them was original with us?
Where he wants to split.
Yeah.
Come all the way to the road?
No, take it back from the road, 30 feet.
Take it back from the road?
Yes.
No, there was
Which
never.
was here, the two.
Take it back from the road so it can maintain its 150 feet.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
right,
have an
exactly.
easement off of his existing driveway.
And please use the word private access drive.
Private access drive, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we make a proposal to rezone the 2 acres by taking back, maintaining the 150-foot drive, frontage with, you said with that.
So what you're wrestling with is a consequence of not requiring surveys
Right.
of the property prior to the rezone. Because I don't know where that line will have to be and where the driveway or private access drive will wind up in relation to that line. If you're trying to do it tonight without that information, I think I'm not shooting from the hip, but I suppose it would be to rezone a 2-acre parcel that is served by a private access drive and otherwise complies with all lot requirements, including lot width. And then it's up to the applicants to get with this surveyor and come up with a configuration that meets that.
Okay, so the proposal is to, rezone the 2 acres where it maintains a private drive, and the road frontage requirement 150 acres. Would that do?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you repeat the actual motion?
Okay, that Cynthia just made, okay. And then I tried to improvise what Mike had said, and it was just to rezone the 2-acre portion, and that it be served by the private access drive, and then I'm kind of lost from there.
Maintaining the 150,
Just so he meets, and that meets and maintains, all area requirements for both parcels.
Okay, got it?
Got it.
Do I get a second?
Just a point of clarification, is that almost like a condition that's going to be based on a future survey?
I would say.
They need to be stated that just to.
You know, it's, we're making it up as we go here.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it becomes, it just becomes, they'll have to configure something. And I think he probably can. Now, depending on, Christopher was pointing out, this, the rear lot line, if they want to keep it even there, they may have to move it. It may or may not end up being a full 2 acres, but I mean, that's okay. The lot will be whatever configuration the surveyor and Tracy and Christopher figure out.
Then when the survey comes in for the new parcel, it'll have to meet all the standards for it to be approved, otherwise
Exactly.
the surveyor and staff will have to talk about, you can't find put too much this way, or it needs to go a little further back to meet the area variance.
That's right.
well, the survey, it already has that frontage, so they wouldn't have to reconfigure anything there. So would that make it better?
But the survey is gonna have to show where the new lot lines are. That's what I'm talking about. And those new lot lines will have to meet the requirements for that new lot and also not take the remaining acreage out of the plots.
Which is,
That'll be,
16, so he has.
it'll be 14.34, or give or take, depending on what they end up with on the exact acreage.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have,
You have a second.
do you have a second? Second by Bruce. Any other comments or discussion? If not, Cynthia?
Yes.
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 Okay, this has been approved. I would recommend that you come to the meeting on February 6th, because the final decision will be made by the Board of Commissioners, and there will probably be further discussion at that point. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question real quick, Mike, Kim, Tracy, can I get a copy of what the variance needs to be as far as what the configuration of that 2 acres needs? Because, I mean, I can tell the surveyor to do whatever I need to do. As far as, I don't want to make it, if it's too wide going all the way to the driveway or whatever, you know, it's pretty much right there, that is the widest part of my land, and the driveway goes right up the middle.
Exactly.
So I can go as far as I need to go back, or not as far, I was told that I have to do at least 2 acres because of the new rules, so.
That's right, you'll have to get over 2 acres, so you might have to move that rear lot line back.
That's what I said, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Is there a width?
Yeah,
requirement?
the width is 150 feet as measured at the setback line, and this is in, without you having to remember all those details, it's in, Article 8 of the ordinance, second page, chapter 8, is a table, and it has all these, setback and lot width and depth requirements on it.
Okay, now, I was under the understanding that the 150 foot was required only if it touched the road.
It's actually required so the 100, so if this one doesn't touch the road, it won't have that requirement, but yours will still have that requirement. And see, if this
Okay,
one,
mine will still continue to go all the way across to 291 feet. Okay.
well, but it's got but it's measured at the setback line, not
So I'll go
road
back,
frontage.
I might make sure on that and go back far enough to say.
Exactly, just gotta go back.
Okay, I'm clear.
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
Thank
And I think the staff will be able to help you and give you all the information that you
Tomorrow,
may need.
we'll try and set up time to come in if we need to lay it out. Get it on that.
Call first thing in the morning. You said come tomorrow?
Call us, tomorrow. I have no idea what the morning has.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I'd probably say
I
after
think
12,
he's got a
but.
meeting, till 12.
Well, I'll call
I
first
might
thing
have
to
a
find
meeting.
out what time.
Yeah.
There you go.
But we'll get with you to make sure that with the surveyors on that.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward. Michael T. and Jennifer Roach is requesting to rezone their 8.65 acre property from A2 to AR to bring the lawfully non-conforming parcel into compliance with current zoning regulations. Property is located at 3048 Highway 29 North in Danielsville on map 65, parcel 12, District 4. Tracy?
Okay, well, this is a 8.65 acre tract, and it's currently zoned A2. So now that the minimum lot requirement, is now 10 acres, they are lawfully non-conforming, so they're just wanting to bring it into the right zone, which would be AR, since that's a minimum lot size of 2 acres. So that would be the next step down from A2.
All right, sir?
That's
So,
it.
that's it?
There's no agenda. We're not selling anything. That's our home. But like the previous gentleman, we're both retired, so anything we can get out of the way that our children will take care of in the future.
So basically, you just wanted to bring it into conformance?
That's it.
Nothing else?
I'm sorry, there's nothing, no agenda. I would like to make it more difficult for you, but
All right, any questions?
anybody want to ask?
If not, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, open the public hearing. Does anyone wants to speak for this rezone request?
The child inherited it, I'd like to have less to deal with at that point in time.
Is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Not, we'll bring it back to the board for any discussion or a motion.
Motion made to approve.
Second? Okay. Have a motion by William and a second by Lee that we approve this rezone request. Any further discussion? If not, Kenneth?
Yes.
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 All right. Again, the final decision will be made by the Board of Commissioners on February 6th. So, at the second public hearing. Number 4, Young Fitzpatrick, husband of Lita Fitzpatrick, requested to rezone a 3.19 acre portion of her 67.49 acre A1 property to AR to allow track across the road to be split off with existing home to sell. The property is located on 2123 Highway 174 in Danielsville. President?
Okay, this one is a little bit, more complicated as far as what we're working with is having the 67.49 acre tract, split 3 ways. And the first one is for this rezone, which is 3.19 with the existing house that he's selling. And that, the road splits it, but, that's part of that property. And he is going to sell the remaining 55 acres, and then he and his wife are keeping the 10.78 acres to live on. And this is allowed under the, retired liquidation property owner under farmer's exception. So this right here is just to get that 3.19 acre tract cut off.
All right, sir. You wanna tell us anything that she hasn't?
Well, no, it's pretty simple. We're going to get the 3.19 acres off of the A1 to the AR property and make things a little simpler down the road, whether we sell or when we sell, which is a matter of time at 82 years old. We're trying to get things simplified up for our rest of the family and settle the estate down the road here. And the highway, Kirk Langford Road runs in between the property. And it's the ideal place to split that off. And I'm not sure why it was A1 anyway, but it definitely, under the new rule, it needs to be AR. So we just want to rezone that so for whatever use we'll down the road.
Because this property is, Langford Road is between there, not 174, Langford Road. It's
It fronts,
property behind it.
it fronts on 2123, and it fronts on 174. The back part is Kirk Langford. Kirk Langford runs in between the 3.19 acres and the remaining 64 acres of the farm.
Okay.
So in other words, you've got off between the triangle right there. Right. That's where you get rid of. Instead of putting in 2 acres, we're just putting it in one big lot, because who knows, one of my daughters may wind up living there before it's over with.
Any questions from Mr. Fitzpatrick?
The portion that you're wanting to leave, the 10.78 portion that you're wanting to leave with or cut off, well, you've got 55 acres and then you're wanting to cut off 10.78 where you're currently residing. Well, no, I'm currently residing at 2123. Okay. And we'll continue to reside there until it's sold. Okay. And then for the future use, I have somebody interested in 55 acres as pasture property, and we want to keep for our home sale the remaining 10 acres. But the 10.78 acres, you want that to remain A1? No. Versus A2? Or? No, that would be A2. Oh, it would be A2. Isn't that correct?
We would have to file an application.
An application to bring it into compliance, but under the zone it now, it does not have to go underneath it to do the split.
But that's all for later. You're only rezoning the 3.19.
So everything else, everything else remains A, right?
So we're not cutting off 10.78 at this point?
No, we're not.
We're just doing the 3.19.
Okay.
Just what's in the triangle.
Okay. Gotcha. What we were trying to do.
Two parts at a time. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Open the public hearing now. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor of this rezone request? Anybody here wants to speak in favor? If not, is there anyone here wants to speak in opposition? Anyone wants to speak in opposition? If not, we'll bring it back to the board, and we will entertain a motion to approve, disapprove, or approve with conditions.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Kenneth,
Second.
second by Cynthia, that we approve this rezone request. Any other comments, questions, discussion? If not, I'll start with me. I'm a yes.
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 Yes. Fitzpatrick, this is approved. Again, second public hearing will be February 6th, right here in this room. Decision will be made by the Board of Commissioners. We will recommend approval. All right, moving on to number 5. Gene Nixon and Adewine and Nixon Properties requested to rezone 18.22 acre property from B1 to bring in lawful non-conformance existing used auto parts sales and metal recycling business into compliance with current zoning regulations. This will require conditional use application for the metal recycling operation. The property is located at 8611 Highway 29 South in Hull, District 3. Tracy?
Okay, so basically, he has ran this business for years now. And he is, like it said, he's just wanting to bring it into the, correct zoning. And for that business, it's been zoned business for years, but actually, for that type of operation, it needs to be in the industrial zoning district. So that's just like an oversight from years ago when it was assigned that zoning. So he's just wanting to bring it into conformity by rezoning this to industrial. And a conditional use is also required for the metal recycling business. Because you can have that done in an industry, but it has to be, in an industrial zone, but it has to be as a conditional use.
May I go ahead and jump in here?
Yeah.
Because I'm saying it's an oversight. Probably not, because, could be, but typically the zoning would have been assigned based on the future land use map and as to what you eventually want this area to look like. So if you eventually want this area to look like industrial, sure, rezone. If you eventually want it to look like business, then you zone it business. It's a lawful non-conforming use, but then that means once that use ceases, now it goes back to business to be consistent with the area around it. So, again, I'm not making a judgment on which is which, but that's the whole concept of zoning is about uses of parcels.
Okay, well, you've heard that now. We'll open it up for questions. Go ahead.
Well, I guess my question on that is if it doesn't get zoned industrial, this business, then your recycling option is not possible, is that correct?
I don't understand it that way. I'm doing the same thing I've always done, it hadn't changed. And Tracy mentioned the conditional use. I don't quite understand it because I don't buy scrap to process and resell. I buy vehicles whole, and we take them apart and sell the parts. When that's finished, we crush those vehicles and sell those for scrap. So I read it, and it read recycling facility, but so it makes it sound like but I mean, I guess that's technically recycling just as well as recycling the used parts we sell across the counter. That's what we've been doing.
So that's why I didn't understand, where's the metal, because the metal parts off the car? That's why you're calling it
I don't want to
metal recycling?
misunderstand. I do, we take the cars apart,
Yeah.
and we do put them in a container and ship them out. So I think that's where they get the metal recycling, which is
That
technically
falls
is.
as a conditional use.
But essentially, what you were doing is compiling the excess metal that's not parts that can be sold to be exported and be sent off.
Yes.
And Mr. Gainer, let me just clarify, he can continue doing whatever he's doing now without any action from this body.
Well, that leads into my question. I want to hear from you. What's the real purpose of the rezone?
Well, the real purpose is the zoning office suggested that it should be rezoned industrial. And here's the reason why they suggested. Back last year, I had some people come to me and want to buy my business, another operation just like mine. And in that speaking, they wanted to check, of course, make sure zoning was correct, so they come out here and they're told it should be, they suggested it should be industrial. Well, the deal didn't go through because I wouldn't give them more time, and I really didn't want to sell. They approached me. So I got to thinking, I came out here and asked, and they said, yes, it should be. Your place should be industrial. So what concerns me, 2 years ago, in 19, I got paperwork here. I had it's really the same business that wanted to buy me out. And I came out here, and they said, I got two people's names. He said, you're good just like you are. You know, everything, you can put scales, they may put scales. I may want to do that later. I was told in 19, if I put scales, I may want to buy my vehicles by weight instead of just buying them per car. So they said that was fine in 2019 with the zoning that I had. Okay, in 2022, company comes out here and they told that it should be industrial. Now, I'm not changing my business right now, and I'm not trying to sell my business, but what concerns me is if suppose somebody does come to me and wants to buy it and I decide to sell it, and they come and get told that again, it's going to kind of scare them away. I mean, they're getting told it should be industrial, and I buy that. It looks like beside me I've got a paving company and a little piece of land and then a recycling yard there, so industrial made sense to me. But that's why it come about. That's how it started. I was good in 2019. The owners of that company that wanted mine asked me to check, so I came out here. Still got the note from August of 19 that they said the way you're zoned, you put in scales and you can keep continuing just like you are. But then in 2022, they came, and I think now what I heard is y'all was trying to get all the zoning like it should be, so I'm just trying to come in compliance to what I'm doing. The business, I was told, was kind of a general, you know, it don't matter if it's a convenience store or hair salon or salvage yard, but salvage yard should be industrial. So that's what brought me here. So a little bit of a conflict, and I feel like it would devalue my property down the road if I sold it, if it was a little bit of, if they couldn't get a clear understanding how it should be zoned.
Well, the reason I asked that particular question is that a lot goes into whether it's business or industrial.
Right.
Simply because of the surroundings, the particular land use plan, you know, not just say, you know, it needs to be rezoned. So just so you understand, there's a whole lot that goes into that we have to look at.
That's right.
To rezone something. I agree with you. It looks like industrial, but it may not fit industrial. It may not fit what needs to be. But I'll let the board themselves ask you the different questions or different comments they may have.
Only you would be having this conversation later because of the new land use map that's coming out when it comes out, because we rezone it now, they may have it.
Yeah.
The land use map may be different than what it is now.
You mind if I address that?
Go ahead.
I was the one they talked to. You're lawfully non-conforming, doing the same thing you've done. And if they wanted to continue the exact same thing you've done, they'd be lawfully non-conforming as well. But they wanted to expand out. They wanted to change it. When they came to the office and talked to me, it happened about a year or so ago. I reckon it was 6 months or better. And they wanted to add some structures onto the site and having to deal with EPD, and the only way that they would be able to do the stormwater management and expand upon what you have would be to come into compliance. Now, if they just continued the same exact function that you're doing, they could have stepped right in, but they, in the conversation we had, they wanted to expand out. They wanted to do what you did and more.
Meaning what, expand out? I'm just saying, what if I wanted to, because I do the stormwater stuff and pay for it.
They wanted to put in a big retention pond, level off, do a lot of grading and changing, and add a lot of.
Yeah, I understand they want to make it, but they want to make it yard flat.
What the zoning ordinance says as to that is, the existing non-conforming use can't be expanded either to additional area, more acre, more parts of the tract, nor can it be expanded into more intensive uses. For example, I think what I've sort of heard just listening here is, you're primarily an auto salvage yard, you ship off metal for recycle, it's just sort of an incident to running a salvage business. Bringing in metal specific of all types for the purpose of recycling would be an expansion of the use. It would be a different type of use.
And so that's where I was saying, because I came out and asked myself in 2019 to the zoning office and was told I'm good to do that, put in scales, because I was thinking about buying my cars by weight and letting people pick their own parts. That's what this company wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was told I could do that.
Right.
In 2022, they came out and was kind of told, it needs to be industrial. That's what.
They can still do the exact same thing. Scales are just your means and ways. They could be on the ground, they could be above the ground, thinking of a stockyard running 20 head into a big open sheet weighing. It could be in your drive that everybody has to pass through. I think the neighbors do it, don't they?
Pretty
Right,
close to
they can do something like that. But what they were wanting to do was expand on what you want to do. Or not what you want to do, what you are doing.
Of course, I figured they probably want to,
But
have a big business. But they got 18 acres.
Well, let me intervene here. Well, what is before this board tonight is what you want to do, what you're asking for.
Yes.
And then our decision has to be, yes, we will approve it. No, we will recommend approval. We will recommend to deny or whatever. I know there's a whole lot that goes into this. That's why I asked the particular question, what real reason did you ask for the rezone? Okay. One of the concerns that I have from making it from business to industrial is there's a lot of different rules. Plus, in that particular area, there's a lot of homeowners. There's a lot of houses. There's a lot of things, the subdivisions.
Yeah,
so if you increase from business to industrial, is the noise going to increase? Is the traffic going to increase? All of that stuff has to be taken into consideration. So, I know we could discuss if somebody bought this, and all that, but I want the board to determine if you believe that this should be approved or disapproved, and the floor is now open to ask any particular questions that you may have.
I just want to know what he said, that he can continue to do what he's doing in the business zone. So.
Lawfully non-conforming. Keep trucking as long as it doesn't expand.
Okay. So, yeah, that's my concern, because my concern is his, going from business to industrial. That brings in, if he does, somebody can bring in something more than what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And like he said, there's subdivision behind him, there's a big subdivision across the street, there's subdivision down the road, and that seems like it more fits the business than industrial, where you can go, it can affect property values, you can get into a lot of other stuff that different manufacturers can come in and buy your property, and in an industrial, and do much more in an industrial than it does business. So.
But what about that non-conforming thing in there? It just sounds
lawfully non-conforming.
It's lawfully. The key word is lawfully.
Yeah.
You're okay.
That looks good. Yeah. Non-conforming. I'm trying to conform, so I
understand.
Yeah. I might also point out that, just looking at the surrounding areas, it's all B1, B2, although I certainly visited the place, and it does have an industrial aspect to it. You've got to give that. It's certainly, with the new land use coming up here, I'd be hesitant to change, put it high, industrial and renewable, nothing. If it's, once again, considering that does not seem to appear to jeopardize your business.
Except, and Chris made it a little bit more, I understand they talked to you more in depth than I realized, because I signed off on it saying that they needed, they come back and told me that it was suggested that they do it
That was the
industrial.
place they wanted to
So I was
do.
thinking, well, and so then when I went and talked, I was suggesting to do the same because of.
They still would have had to do the same thing as you, if they bought it and continued that practice, which in my conversation with them is what they wanted to do until they, I guess, got some cash back in the pocket. I don't know from Adam's house yet. And when they wanted to expand, that's where I told them you'd have to do it at a rezone. If you wanted to do that on another parcel, I wasn't trying to not sell your parcel. I was just saying that would be your choice.
That's the only thing that concerns me. I may understand it more now, I may have wasted a bunch of time. I would still like to do it,
Yes, sir.
but sounds like I'm gonna get voted down. But only reason, because when I came out, it's 18 acres and it's a valuable piece of property. So I wouldn't want somebody wanting it and then come out to zone and they say, well,
What they
it's
want
like
to do
this,
is
it
not.
should be like this, and here I am kind of getting the same answer tonight, it's.
As long
I
as
get
you
it.
maintain it and don't expand it where, for you, the adding in structures over 5,000 square feet. If it was under 5,000, we'd have some there, we'd have to talk to EPD, that sort of stuff. Or if you decided, we're gonna start disassembling, throwing a random idea out there, computers for smelting gold or something of that nature out there, if you will, then that would not fall under your lawfully non-conforming use.
But
Well, so you don't misunderstand, you can ask for a rezone for any reason.
yes,
I mean, that's up to you as to what you want to ask for. It's up to this board to determine if that's reasonable and fits in all these things that we got, fits in this book and fits in the land use plan and all that kind of stuff, so.
And this board makes a recommendation to the
To
board
the board of
commissioners.
commissioners, and then they make the final decision.
and I understand, I just a little bit confused on, that, like I said, I may have wasted y'all's time, man, it seems like.
No, you're not wasting time, 'cause that's your lawful right.
Yeah.
If you want to rezone it, then you have a right to come here and ask for it.
And I don't want to hurt anybody, there's a neighborhood right behind me, there's not one right across the street from me, that's right across the street from the salvage yard down the road, right across the middle of the garage and some, vacant, land. But the one behind me's got a big buffer, and we're always mindful of that too. I was just doing it because trying to get it into conforming or just.
And then that also goes back to Kenneth's comment, we're not exactly sure as to what's coming up as far as the new land use plan.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember, maybe you guys do, since y'all on board, that, that particular area is an industrial or business recommended.
I don't wanna, same thing, it's still being reviewed at the time, so, I think it's still, a month or, for the BOC to review it. That's the same thing I was gonna say, sir, is just the timing on this for me personally, because this is kind of above my pay grade with going through and hiring, Hall Consulting to look at the county as a whole and ultimately, I wanna say congratulations to you, because you do have a valuable piece of property there that, the highest and best use overarching for the community as a whole is what we're all trying to work towards that fact.
And I appreciate that, and and the only thing I didn't want to get into is, I'm not actually trying to sell it, and I didn't, they approached me, I didn't really want to, it was a good deal, and I would have, their time run out, and I wouldn't extend it, they wanted to. So, but I figured one day I will, and that, I didn't want the same thing to happen. That I told them what all I know, you can do, put in scales, that's what, they asked me to put in scales, I said, county told me before you could, you need to go check for yourself, so that's what they did.
Thank you, that's good.
Come back and, I'm still considering it, and I was told I could.
And that's still holds.
Yeah. And so,
It's not changing the practice, it's just how you receive.
so I said, well, I didn't know if they asked for additional time, didn't say why, I didn't know if it was because of this
Might not just
And
talk to them.
that's the way I've come and find out, and was suggested that I would even change it to the industrial, but that's why I'm here.
All right, sir. Any additional questions?
Yeah, I've got one more. I'll throw a little twist in here. My concern is that salvage yard, junkyard, whatever you want to call it, the use of that is going on there now fits and is listed under industrial, not business. That's why it's lawfully non-conforming. And if someone were to come in and change it in any way, he's going to operate it as is in the future. And if someone comes in and wants to buy it, use it for another use, it would have to be permitted, and the oversight is there to make sure that any changes that are done would be done in a correct fashion. So it's not like if it's zoned industrial and someone else on the big long list of everything that falls under industrial, if they want to come in there and operate, they can. Not necessarily. It would have to be permitted and would be reviewed.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Since, I was talking to him.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You know, under our definition of business use, because it's so broad, because it says commercially used, providing a wide range of retail goods, which is not retail, but it is a service to meet the needs of a large segment of the community. So wouldn't that still be under business? He can't operate under business without non-conforming? Because I'm saying it's so broad,
Yeah,
the definition.
and we do have a strict definition of.
Because of what he.
Yeah, I know, I saw it under there, under industrial.
It's why that non-conforming part comes in there.
So we just need to know.
All right, any other questions from the board?
Can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
Just like Mr. Mitchell said, everything I've read about, because I've been doing a little research about salvage yards, is, you know, the whole consensus is they're under industrial. And I get it, you know, people get that mindset where they'll come in with some kind of factory. But it's just like he said, if mine was industrial, and somebody wanted to change it, they'd have to come here and ask for that variance or whatever it's stuff. So I was trying to get conforming, and
Well, I guess the thing of it is the word conforming and legally non-conforming.
Yes.
The state's business is legally non-conforming. If this board and the board of commissioners decide to change it, then it becomes conforming. So that is the question that we have before us. Okay. All right. Thanks, sir.
thank you.
All right, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody here that wants to speak for this rezone request? Anybody here wants to speak for it? Not, is there anyone here who wants to speak in opposition? All right, we'll take one at a time. I'll start from my left over here.
You just want to pretend. Go out together.
I'm Laura.
Please tell us your name and what you...
I'm Laura Starling.
And I'm Simon Starling.
We've lived in the area for about 4 years. We just moved to Hannah Heights about 4 years ago. We used to live in Clark County. We lost Madison County, and we live right behind the property. We live in Lot 13. It's got about 2.67 acres. We just kind of, learning that we don't necessarily need to do the rezoning is kind of eye-opening, because learning that our property value will go down is a big reason to oppose it. It's already a very loud area. On the weekends, it's extremely loud. We can hear the cars being recycled. We can hear a lot of gunshots back there all the time. So it's already a pretty loud area. And like you mentioned, we don't know what's coming, if he's going to resell the property, which just hearing him speak, it sounds like that might be coming because he wants to resell this area. It makes it more valuable for him, but it also kind of goes against our house a lot. We don't want to lose that property value. We want to live in Madison County, and we want to stay there, but it also makes it very unappealing for anyone else to move into that area or to buy houses when there's an industrial zone near it.
And we fully sympathize with them, like, we want the best for everybody in the area, but if it's detrimental to more than, 5 or 6 parties, I just don't necessarily agree with it. Yeah, that's really much all I got.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Jason Redback. I also live on a property adjacent to the business. There's a lot of evidence that it'll negatively affect the neighborhood, all the houses in the neighborhood. I'm an economist at the University of Georgia. There was a study that was done, let me find it real quick here, the impact of industrial sites on residential property values. This was done in 2011 by Bohr and Grud. Quote, the results of their study reveal that the distance to an industrial site has a statistically significant negative effect on the value of residential properties. We obtained statistical evidence for substantial localized price differentials, which vary according to the size of an industrial site. This amount would be about a 15% hit to all the residences around in the area. Not only that, we have to consider if the land were to change to industrial, what kind of business would locate there afterwards? There could be an even more polluting business. There's a lake on one of the adjacent properties. It's not a pond, it's a lake because it's greater than an acre. There's a lot of wildlife in it. There's a stream that runs behind all the yards. Also, the Madison County has been working on a draft of the noise ordinance. And in that draft, businesses are allowed 65 decibels, generally during the daytime for noise, while industrial are allowed 70. From 65 to 70 doesn't sound like it's a very large increase, but it's a logarithmic scale. And being a logarithmic scale, the perceived increase in noise from a business to industrial is 50% louder. So it's significantly louder than what we're hearing now, which we are already hearing pretty loud noises, as you've heard before. What was said earlier, which is absolutely correct, is that when the whole purpose of zoning ordinances is to protect people and to protect property values for everybody. And so if you're going to make an area industrial, you do it beforehand and you don't put residential areas around it. You don't put houses where people live. If you want to have a business that's non-conforming, I'm fine with that, with the way the business is right now for Mr. Nixon. But by making it industrial and having something louder and more polluting in terms of noise or other kinds of pollution, and then rezoning because that's the way things are done, that's how they did stuff in the late 1800s during the Second Industrial Revolution. So the whole purpose of zoning ordinances is we plan ahead so we don't put industrial next to residential areas. So, and there was a case in 2017 in Newton County where a landfill was built next to residential, and it was classified as industrial. And what happened is the decrease in property values was so significant that the owners of the houses in the surrounding area won, and the lawsuit was for $10 million. Now, I estimate there's well over 100 houses around this area, because according to this research, the land that's affected around it is going to be within about a mile to a mile and a half. So estimating at least 100 houses between $200,000 to $400,000 in value per house, we're looking at least $5 million of economic damages by just reclassifying this as industrial. So these are just my concerns.
All right.
Thank
you very much.
Can I get your last name?
Yeah. Right back.
R-E-D-V-A-C-A.
Next. Yes, sir.
I'll put it up for you.
Oh, you got it on here. I just wanted to make sure.
My name is David Carey. I live at 76 Madeline Court, and that's in the Bryce Landing subdivision. Bryce Landing subdivision has over 100 homes. It's located directly across Highway 29 from the parcel that y'all are considering. I oppose the rezoning request for the following reasons. One, it would cause substantial detriment to the public good if after rezoning to industrial, an industrial process is started which may pollute the air or emit an offensive odor. Two, industrial facilities often use, store, or produce poisonous or flammable gases which, when leaked, expose the community to danger and may cause evacuation of residents and businesses. And in facilities that use biochemical or molecular manipulation in their processes, expose the local area to even greater danger. Three, it would negatively affect, to a very large degree, the use and enjoyment of the environment in the immediate vicinity, namely large subdivisions and other residential properties. I refer you to section 11.1.3b of the zoning ordinance. 4, it would diminish and impair property values within the surrounding neighborhood. I refer you to section 11.1.3c. Number 5, industrial development at this location would require direct access to Highway 29 in an area which is already heavily traveled and overburdened. Number 6, it would, in all probability, violate one or more of the enumerated acts, number 6, number 7, 9A, or 12 of the recently published Madison County Noise Ordinance. And if designated a significant noise generator and were granted a variance under section 6 or 9 of that ordinance, everyone in the area would suffer the increased noise level every day. 7. Obviously, there may be a plan to build something on this parcel which would certainly be defined as industrial. But the overconcentration of existing commercial zoning and now industrial zoning into such a confined area is detrimental to the future of Madison County, and in this case, only serves to provide economic benefit for one company, and that is Alewind and Nixon Properties. Number 8, the property should be considered conforming to the existing zoning of business as it transacts business on a retail basis with the public, and there's no need to change it into an industrial zone just to get it out of non-conforming status under 6.1. If I went to his junkyard and bought a spare part, I am doing retail business. That is the definition of a business. He is selling me a part. Number 9, if this parcel is rezoned industrial, it opens the door for development which may not be truly represented here tonight. We have no idea what is ultimately planned to be built there. It could be another biomass facility like the one in Colbert or a poultry processing plant. Once rezoned, it is very hard to legally prevent anyone from taking unfair and unwanted advantage of the newly rezoned area. 10, further, I suggest industrial rezoning be suspended until the Industrial Development Oversight Committee is formed in accordance with the current comprehensive plan for Madison County, and the Oversight Committee has had an opportunity to review the Industrial Development Plan as it pertains to focused areas of the county. Also, I ask that no conditional use permits under section 7.9.2 or special variances under section 11.1 of the zoning ordinance be granted in this case. In closing, I say that zoning business is necessary to provide retail goods and services to our community, but industrial facilities in a densely populated area like this one are a disaster waiting to happen. While we all see the need for economic development, I ask that the long-term future of Madison County and the quality of life of our county citizens be seriously considered in every zoning request brought before you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Can
sir.
I get your name? I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
Can I get your name, please?
David Perry.
Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Got another Terry.
Just one thing clear to the group now. I know you've heard a lot about noise orders and comprehensive plan. Those two things are still being discussed and still being developed. So those are, just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that those are things that are being developed at this point. All right, so anybody else will speak in opposition? Please, yes, sir.
Well, the gentleman's coming forward, just one clarification. There is an existing noise ordinance and an existing comp plan, but what everybody's hearing about right now are the new versions of those that are being proposed.
Hello, I'm David Sluter. I'm one of the residents in Hannah Heights right behind the property in question. Let me just say I have no complaints with the current situation. I'm an auto enthusiast myself, and I'm certainly not opposed to the salvage business. But my wife and I work nights and have to sleep into the afternoons during the day, and we are concerned that if it does get changed to industrial, somebody else could come in and create a noise issue or a pollution issue. But certainly not opposed to him and his business. I understand that the future sale of the property is a concern. It's also a concern with us, the neighborhood, as to who's going to be coming in and what are they going to do with the property. So I would request that it maintain the business zoning and understand that his business will not suffer any if it stays a business zone, which is only concern, which I understand, is the future sale of the property. But I would oppose to the changing to the industrial zone for the future concern.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else?
Well, yeah,
Please come forward. State your name and what's your concern.
My name's Diane Lester, and we live in the area of the said property of proposed there. And we've been in our home for 13 years, and I'm enjoying my house. And I know about his business, I will know about everyone in here saying, but like I say, I'm asking that thing don't get changed because we're comfortable. We just retired, enjoying our home, and we dealing with enough coming from that little plant out there, which looks, I don't know what you call it, but we just put enough of that, and we're going to talk about that too one day, but yeah, but anyway, we're enjoying our home, and I'm just praying that everything will just kind of maintain, because I don't want to move. And my property value have went up, so to it, it's good. If I do start sale, we gonna be okay in our, retirement. And it's a good number on my house. So, but yeah, I just want to put that out there to say that I'm, like everybody else, I'm enjoying it, and like I said, I'm not supposed to be about it. Like I grew up knowing about it, because my parents grew up there too, but I love my home, and it's been a blessing to us. And I got 6 grandbabies, and they love every inch of their house.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am, please.
My name is Daisy Soracho, and I currently reside in Hannah Heights. I have a property that's actually, my fence and his fence are together, and I do not want it to be rezoned because I'm not sure if he's gonna sell it in the future. I have kids, my kids go play in the woods sometimes, and I'm just scared that eventually it's gonna be rezoned and it's gonna be possible something that's gonna be hazardous for my kids. Currently, I'm comfortable with the situation. I've been there for 14 years, and I do not want to spend more property that leaves currently.
All right. Thank you very much.
I did, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? If not, Mr. Nixon, you have the opportunity to come back for any rebuttal that you may have.
I just want to say, clarify a couple things. The gunshots is not from my business. And my property is, I think you said this, my property is not straight across from Bryce Landing. I'm up the road a little bit. There is another salvage yard, but
I do want to point out,
but I respect everybody's.
from the window of my home office, I see your cars.
Yeah.
That's
when you say
that's-
very directly across from Bryce Landing, and it's not.
Yes, sir. Mr. Nixon has that. He can come back and say his rebuttal.
I'm 3 properties up from there, but I respect everybody's comments, and I get it. And I don't want to hurt anybody, but my neighbors, I've been there 14 years, so I was trying to get it conforming, and so we can do what they want. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, board. We'll bring it back to the board, and we'll entertain a motion to approve, deny, approve with conditions. All in discussion. Yes, sir, Mr. Gandy.
I'm just kind of looking, I remember going over our criteria for the zoning approvals here. And I just heard some of the things, impact on property values, surrounding zones, invariably business. Owner continues and to be able to run his business as he's been running it, and to sell that business to someone else and continue to run just as he is. And it seems as though there's some improvements that you can make that, to your business that would, I think, not require industrial. And then just divergence from established land use patterns and conforming with the use map. This is just going to be an anomaly.
Any others? Final comments?
Cody, I had a quick question for Mr. Allen. What does it do to your overall plans to put this on hold until the new land use map and the comprehensive plan is complete, so that we will know what the final use is planned for that area? Does that throw you off?
No, as far as I know, it won't hurt me at all, and I'm not A-line, it's no negative or positive, but some people get that. The only reason I say some people, there's a salvage yard close to me, it's A-lines. I think some people get that confused, but anyway, I don't think it'll have any impact because I'm not planning on doing anything different. Just the what if thing, I had someone approach me, and that's where this come up about the zoning. So I'm not trying to sell, and I've got kids that may take my business. I don't know. So that'd be, it won't have any impact because I'm not planning on doing anything any different. Possibly adding scales like I've mentioned for the last couple of years, and buying my materials that way and selling, but nothing else.
So for it to remain as is, as a business zone, and when the new land use map comes out, if it were to change things in any way, you would have to.
Well, and that's what I was trying to do now. I don't want to be sitting there and the county comes to me and says, you got to do this. But when I see that non-conforming, and when they suggested making it industrial, I went with their recommendation, so.
That's your question. Anybody else? Any other questions? No, I will entertain a motion. Well, I guess I will make a motion. I will make a motion, to deny because of, citizens input, because of the area, because there is, no direct effect on changing the business as it is as of right now. I will make a motion to deny this rezone request.
I'll say.
It's been moved, motion by Canola Scott, second by Cynthia, that this rezone request be denied. Any, for additional comments, sir? Yes, sir.
A response to this should be yes or
No.
no. The movement, the motion is to
Deny.
So we should be,
yes.
yes, if we're denying it.
Okay, well, yes, then. Okay, I'm sorry. Got it backwards.
I didn't want to mistake.
Okay.
No.
No.
Yes.
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 Yes. It is a 4-2 to deny this rezone request. Again, this will be another public hearing, February the 6th, that will come before the commissioners. I do suggest that Mr. Nixon, that you appear, present your case. I do suggest that all of you that are opposed, please come and let the commissioners hear what you have to say, and then they will make the final decision. But the decision of this board tonight is to recommend to the commissioners to deny. Thank you all. Next, we will have Mr. Sexton. The requested to rezone his 21.95 acre property from A1 to A2 to bring it into a lawfully non-conforming parcel and to comply with current zoning regulations and to allow 2.46 acres to be split and absorbed into adjoining property. Property, I'm sorry, I read the wrong one. I apologize. Requested to rezone 21.95 acres from A1 to A2 to bring the lawfully non-conforming parcel into compliance with current zoning regulations. The property is located at 255 Dudley Road in Danielsville, District 4. Question?
Okay, Mr. Sexton is essentially gonna have to do a two-step, rezone process. It's, family land that he has purchased, and, the end goal is, to actually make 2 lot sizes. But the first thing, he is in an A1 zone, and, of course, now the minimum lot size is 25 acres, and this tract is only 21.95. So the next step down will be going to A2, which is only a 10-acre minimum. So that's what we're voting on tonight, is to just bring it into its conforming parcel.
From A1 to A2?
Yes.
I'm Byron.
All right, Mr. Myers.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. I'm just getting in compliance there. I've got a new, I'm at 155 on a new reference. That old house on it, which I've completely remodeled at 255 Calvert. And we've taken step 1 to get to step 2 so I can sell the 255. And it will be sold family members.
So this is gonna be a 2-step process then.
We gotta go to, what, A2
now,
to
then
go to,
the next, if this is approved.
This approved, then we'll go to AR.
Right.
Any questions for Mr. Sexton? Any questions for Mr. Sexton? All right, Mr. Sexton, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Open the public hearing. Is anybody here wants to speak for this rezone request? Anyone here wants to speak for it? If not, anyone here wants to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion to approve, disapprove, or approve with conditions.
I make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Motion by Kenneth, and a second by William to approve. Any further discussion? If not, William?
Yes.
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 Motion carries, and the second is approved. From there, you can go to your next step.
All right. Thank you very much.
Number 7, Mark Pierce, requesting his rezone his 4.89 acre property from A2 to AR. Bring the lawfully non-conforming parcel in compliance with current zoning regulations to allow 2.46 acres to be split, absorbed into adjoining property 0010/065. The property is located at 229 Morgan Road, Danielsville.
Okay, so Mr. Pierce is just basically got 4.89 acre tract, and his neighbor is wanting to purchase 2.46 acres of it, and she will just be absorbing it into her parcel, not a new parcel to be made. It will just be absorbed. And she is also up for rezone at the next application. So the end product will be, he will be left with 2.85 acres, and then she would then have 5.31 acres if both rezones are approved.
All right, Mr. Pierce?
Mine's pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Good. Pretty simple. Both of them are being just, bringing it into conformance, both of them.
And the reason for bringing it to conformance so you can join the other with the other piece of property, is that correct?
So I can sell it off.
Sell it off, and
Yes.
she can join it with her piece of property.
Because the house price has gone up so much.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Pierce? Hearing none, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anybody here wants to speak for this rezone request? Anybody want to speak for it? Anybody want to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the board and we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Okay, we have a motion by Cynthia, second by Bruce. Bruce?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Pierce, you're good to go. Suggest that you do appear on the 6th.
He's representing Ms. Dyer,
Oh,
the
he's-
neighbor.
All right.
Oh, so we're going to.
Number 8, Mark Pierce, applicant, is representing Mr. Dyer is requesting to rezone her 2.85 acre property from A2 to AR to bring it lawfully non-conforming to compliance with current zoning regulations. The property is located at 1484 John Down Road in Danielsville. For those of you that went out and looked at it, they're just back to back so you can see what they want to join. All right, Mr. Pierce, any further comments? Sir, any comments? Yeah, I think you made them already.
Bringing it into compliance because it's an A2 zone and it's only 2.85 acres.
Correct. All right, public hearing, if anyone wants to speak for this? Anyone wants to speak for this? Anyone wants to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve
I second.
A motion by Lee, second by Kenny. Any comments? Discussion? Not Sydney?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, that is approved, but I do, as always, recommend that you come back, before the board on February the 6th. All right, Mr. Mendendorf.
Yes, sir.
Am I saying that correctly?
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Mingledorf.
Mingledorf.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Tracy, you want to tell us about this one?
Okay, he is requesting to rezone a 3.99 acre portion of his 37.79 acre property from A1 to AR to split off for a family member to live on. The property is located at 2546 Wesley Chapel Road in Danielsville on Map 10, parcel 72 in District 1.
Yes, sir.
First, I want to apologize you weren't able to see that sign.
I couldn't find
The
it.
area that's adjacent to Wesley Chapel Road is my address and my place where I live. The property is behind us, and it's on Haggard Drive. So
Oh,
that's where I
okay.
put the sign, because that's the one that would be directly affected by it. So it's over there. And it would be, it's a family plot on the west side that I purchased, and it's all family living around it. And her father would be on one side, and her grandfather and grandmother would be on the other side of her, which are already little cutouts of the piece of property. So that pretty much is it.
Yes, sir. When I came to look at it, I saw no problems with it, but I did not want that to be an issue that, because it's required that it is posted.
Right.
And I did not go down that side road.
Now, there was a
by your
fellow,
house.
there was a fellow that came out earlier and knocked on the door and said, I can't find the sign. And so I did tell him where it was.
Yeah, that was our new code enforcement officer, Jonathan Cook. He went out
Okay.
and verified it on December 28th.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't the only one, because I thought I was just, I don't see a sign.
I figured it'd be misleading if it was there in front of my address.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's no problem.
Okay.
Anybody got any questions, on this particular rezone request?
So the access to the back of the property is gonna be down that little road where the grandparents?
Well, it's Haggard Drive.
Yeah.
And there's a little frontage area between her father's house and her grandfather's house.
Yeah, that little piece.
Right, right.
I just wanna know where that is.
And does this require, I see the road frontage there, the 3.99. Does that imply, does that require the 150, is
that a private road?
Haggard Drive?
Yeah.
No, it's public.
That's a county road.
Oh.
That's a county road. That falls into, that's required on coming off any road.
I'm just looking on this sketch, I can't quite.
It's 159.97.
Perfect. Thank you. I can just barely see it there, 159.
All right? Any further questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, public hearing. Anybody want to speak for this? Anybody want to speak for this rezone request? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Hearing none, bring it back to the board. We will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Cynthia.
Mr. Chairman, I second.
Second by Andy. Any further questions or discussion? If not, where am I? Kenneth, right?
Yes.
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 Has been approved. I do recommend that you do come before the board on February 6th. It's not required to, but it's always a good idea to appear.
I'll be there.
Thank you very much. Anything else or any additional things that needs to come before the board tonight?
Not anything on the agenda.
Did Christina's email make it to all y'all about the training?
Yes.
Set. University of Georgia set the date. They gave us one, and I don't think they realized it was a Saturday. That's one of them, but we tried to set it up where it was the end of the week on the Fridays. They'll provide the course material. It'll be in this room. Just wanted to let y'all know.
Okay, both of them are on Fridays, right?
Both of them are on Fridays, yes, sir.
They set the date on a Saturday, but you all got to change. Okay, that's fine.